Hi, my name's Will, and I just competed for the first time on Sunday. And I've just got my photos back from White Lights Media, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to edit them. I've been really excited for these photos to come in, so let's just get right into it. I'm going to be using Lightroom because that's the software I use for all of my photography work. But you know, the processes are the same, whatever you use really. If you edit photos on your phone, you can find equivalent softwares that will do a lot of what Lightroom can offer. And I'll probably put a link or something down in the description to one that I find most appealing. But ultimately, I think what I'm going to talk about is more of an approach than a distinct set. This slider to 51.5 and this one to -25, and give you. I don't want to give you exact instructions. I want to give you the vibe so that you can fend for yourself a little bit. I have shot photos and events in the sports hall in which the Oxford Open took place before. So I know quite a lot about how the lighting works and how to deal with it. I'll be honest, the lighting is dreadful. It is one of the most challenging lighting conditions I think I've ever taken photos in. And I wouldn't say the Oxford Open was much better. They had two big video lights they were using to light the stream, which were good and made it better. But I would definitely say that the photographer's done quite a good job working around that, given the situation. I think on the whole, lighting at powerlifting events is never great, partly because it's not intended to be great for photographers roaming around. It's either set up to make the stage bright enough so that people can see, or for a live stream, which is from a fixed angle. So you kind of have to work around it a little bit. The first thing to do is to decide what photos you want to actually deal with. If you edit every photo and then decide which ones you're gonna like, it's gonna take you a hell of a long time. So the way I tend to do this is I do a set of rejections. So every photo I know that I won't want to deal with properly, and then a set of pics. So sort of the cream of the crop, if that makes sense. So I'll go down and rate each photo that I like 1 star, and every photo that I think is a reject 0 stars, so that I can start working with Lightroom's filters to get through this. So that one there I think is a definite reject. It's, I would say, unflattering, and I don't think the lighting is great. I may come back to it if I think I can fix the lighting and I have the time, but honestly, I think it would be, I think it's unfixable. Yeah, I mean the lighting is terrible in it. Again, I would say I wouldn't take this photo. I don't think it's a very interesting photo. It's also not my top set, so I care less. That's a great photo, I think. First of all, top set, most important. But also, I think it captures the character of what I'm doing. As much as I'd like to be, I'm not one of those guys that shouts and screams after every set. You know, I can get excited, get locked in going into it, but coming out of it, it's just, I've either done it or I haven't, and I kind of know, so it's hard for me to get sort of, too out there to everything. And I feel like this photo shows that in a way. Not very flattering, but it's a good action shot, right? Look out the squat, fucking face red as can be, and a big old grin on my face. Yeah, happy with that one. I think this is a really nice angle, and the photographer's, he knows what he's doing. He's picked out a nice shot here, but he's suffering from the lighting, and there's nothing you can do about that. I'm not sure I can post photos of a missed bench. I think that's a bit criminal. So it's definitely a better angle here than we had for the second attempt at 252, which was here. Sort of the low down, sort of front 3/4 angle is one that I quite like. I'm not sure any from the medal ceremony are gonna make it. Again, the lighting was pretty fucking shit. I look a little bit disheveled after pulling for the qualifying total. I'm not sure this one's staying about. So that's 57 photos, now down to 35. It's not a lot of rejections, but slightly over a third is pretty good going. Interestingly, these photos make it look like my head tilts to one side every time I deadlift, which is maybe something I should think about. So that's 4 more gone, and it's now time to edit. The first place to start is generally brightness. If your image is visibly too dark or too bright, you're not going to be able to see whether or not the edit you're doing is working. You have to get the exposure right, and then we can talk about everything else. Exposure is good, sharpness is good. I think the photo's a little bit wonky, but I think it kind of gets away with it. I'll see how rotating it makes it feel. If you are using Lightroom, there is a really useful tool called the overlay tool to see different shapes that generally relate to the golden ratio to give you an idea of where you should be lining stuff up. The one that I like to use most is this one. I feel like it's quite a natural feeling. The spiral's nice, but I don't feel like it gives you necessarily quite the same sense of direction that this one does. So this is my preferred one. The way this tool kind of works is you want to place important points on the lines or near the lines. Sort of shapes and directions should be working around the line in many ways. So as you can see with this way around, I've got the vertex of my hand, which is again, it's a point of contact with the bar, right? It's drawing you into there. And then the other way around, it's kind of lining up with my body in a way, so it feels quite central focused, right? Okay, so now we've got our crop, let's start talking about the light. I'm a big believer of the tone curves, so I'll be doing most of that through there. A lot of the way I edit has been developed through shooting film, and kind of like when you shoot film, you can either print it using a darkroom and an enlarger, or you can scan it. And a lot of the way that I edit is kind of developed between trying to get the scans to look like the prints. So I'll do lots of things that may seem strange or counterintuitive that I feel get me towards that direction that I quite like going. The main one I do tends to be I've raised the dark point up, so that's basically changing instead of the darkest point in the image being completely black, it is 90% black. And I feel this gives me a slightly more natural look with which I can work contrasts and more interesting colours into. So you can see now that even though the black point looks softer and brighter, there's actually more contrast without it being too jarring. There's a lot of dialing in that needs to be done for this, but when you compare the before and after, hopefully you can see that, especially in the colours on my singlet, I've gone from like a slightly murky purpley colour to a well-defined greeny colour, which I tend to prefer. The next place I go is to the HSL tab. What the HSL tab lets you do is change the colours of your highlights, your midpoints and your shadows. By being able to tint each of these different sections of the range a little bit, it offers you a lot of creative control, and I think it's one of maybe one of the dark arts of photography, but it is a really powerful tool. For highlights, I'm trying to bring back some of the natural skin color that I have. So it kind of, everything I've done up to this point, I've desaturated it a little bit and made me look quite pale. So I'm just bringing some oranges into there to make it look a little bit more vibrant. And then it's kind of the same deal when I get to the midtones tab, except I want to be a little bit lighter footed with the changes I make. I'm looking to add a little bit of that skin color back in, a little bit of those natural tones, while not really wanting to muck anything else that I've done to the shadows. So I've done a few more tweaks, and you can see that I've got quite a nice balance at the moment between the greens, but I haven't really got the skin colour down quite right, so I'm going to go back and reapply with a bit more strength some of the things I did in the HSL tan. So what that's let me done is bring me a little bit brighter, a little bit more into the focus of the image, while letting the backgrounds fade away a little bit. I'm really happy with this as an edit, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take it and apply these edits to every photo that I come across, making small changes where they're needed. So here's one where the swirl feels a little bit more natural to look at the crop. You can see it's, again, touching my hands, point of interest, coming across my face and sort of curling along the lines of my face, which it brings the attention where you want the attention to be, right? I'm pretty happy with that. I think that's a great looking photo now. You might be able to see some smudges of chalk and talc. I'll get rid of these later because it's quite a boring process. You can see that there's quite nice separation of spaces. I don't love this cord that's just been caught in the corner of the photo, but I guess I'm gonna have to put up with it. I think the photo may be a little bit bright, so I'll probably bring the exposure down. But other than that, it's pretty nice. It's quite a nice photo of me with Duncan. It's a shame about the clutter around the edges, like that screen I don't love, but yeah. What are you gonna do about that, eh? I really like this one. The contrast across the face is really nice. I'm gonna sound like a crazy person, but one of the reasons I shoot Nikon is because I really like the way that the noise and the grain kind of works from the sensors. I think it feels very natural, very, pretty is not the right word, but adds grit, adds reality to images in a way. All the bench ones, which are basically from the same angle, need almost no changing between them. So once I get the first one right, I can just kind of click them through, right? It's interesting, I've got a bigger arch than I thought. It's nice to know that I'm doing at least that correctly. But yeah, there's good space there. It's a shame, it's a really nice photo actually. It's an interesting thing to have done by the guy that took the photos. He knows what's up. Bro was cooking. Sometimes when photos are too dark, it can kind of mush the colours up a little bit. And you can see that I've raised the exposure here by nearly 1.5 stops, and it's having that kind of effect. Getting brightness right in camera is a big deal. The lighting decided to wake up, and all of a sudden there's really nice like full lighting on me for the deadlifts, which is good. It'll make the photos come out a bit better, but it means that I probably don't need that radial mask anymore. Saying that, my head appears to have gotten out of the scope of the light, so I'm gonna have to draw one in for that. It's a hard photo to grab. One of the hardest bits of doing event photography is always being dialed into these kind of moments. So to have got anything from it is good going from the guy. But yeah, they're really nice actually, especially the ones of me lifting rather than sort of me sitting about otherwise. They're really, really good. I'm really happy with them. Yeah, so I'll go through, edit out any blemishes, and I'll show you the results at the end. As you can probably hear from the jet engine behind me that's taken off, I'm exporting all the files. I think they look great. I'll show you a quick slideshow. And then while that's happening, I'll give a chat about what's next. I'm quite excited about the next few months. For the next few months, I'm going to be coached with the university squad coach, which sadly means I've got to say goodbye to Duncan for a bit. But Bucks, which is likely to be in April, I think I'll probably be going with Duncan again, which is quite exciting. Maybe he could do with a 4 months break from me. I also have that video that I have promised for 3 other consecutive videos now. That is definitely coming, I promise. It's just it's quite time consuming at the moment. I've got uni work, and turns out third year physics is a little bit worse than second year physics. The competition was a really great experience. It was run amazingly well. All of the effort that went in definitely doesn't go unappreciated, I promise you that. So to Andrew and Arun, thank you very much for running it. To all the judges, thank you for judging the handlers and the spotters that were there and the rest of the athletes. It was a lovely environment, and hopefully one that's going to be repeated next year. Assuming we can convince Andrew to run it again. But, yeah, we'll see. Yeah.